What if you were the living embodiment of all pervasive peace? What if all sentient beings all around you increased their vibration towards harmony by merely being in your contact? What if through conscious reasoning, focused will, and intentional living, you reform yourself, thereby becoming a catalyst and sparking transformation in others? I'm Shilpa Lewis, meditation and mindfulness coach for midlife mompreneurs, and you are listening to Omni Present Awareness, the podcast that will inspire you to use your story to serve humanity in not just healing, but thriving as souls, each fulfilling their highest purpose. Welcome to Omnipresent Awareness with Shilpa. This is your host, Shilpa Lewis, owner and founder of Omni Mindfulness Coaching. Before we get started, if you haven't already booked a free discovery session with me, click on the link in the description. I'm a holistic transformational life coach, specializing in helping midlife mompreneurs bring balance, clarity, and life alignment, both personally and professionally, so that you may live your best life. There is tremendous healing value in simply being able to know someone is holding authentic space for you to listen and be accessible as an accountability partner and mentor. If you feel overwhelmed or if you feel the need for some support navigating life as a mother or as an entrepreneur, I would love to provide you with my coaching. If any anecdotes from the stories of the guests from this episode or any of the podcast episodes resonate with you, or if you find any value at all from the content from these episodes, then consider booking a free discovery call with me. Together, we can manifest my vision to be instrumental in the biggest rise in consciousness and awareness and human transformation. And now, here is today's episode. And now, a conversation recorded with my partner in awareness, Tanya, from our joint podcast, Mindful Mompreneur Moments. And oh yeah, if you could, please listen to the very end of the podcast for powerful insights from our guest. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. In this episode, on the theme of tuning in and healing, we have a conversation with Nadia Nanji. Nadia is an energy healer, empowerment coach, and ceremonial cacao facilitator, born in Lausanne, Switzerland, and currently living in London, UK. She is an advanced transformational certified coach and energy healer who helps female leaders who feel they've ticked off most of society's success boxes, but still feel stressed, unfulfilled, stuck, and yearn for more purpose, joy, and inner alignment. She helps them get out of their overthinking minds and unlock more inner peace and awaken their power so that they can trust themselves and fulfill a meaningful life of freedom and happiness on their own terms. In her work, she uses a variety of modalities such as subconscious reprogramming, mindset, meditation, kundalini yoga, breath work, and the plant medicine of ceremonial cacao to help go deeper, clear emotional blocks, and shift limitations so that women can transform their lives from the inside out. So without further ado, our conversation with Nadia. Welcome, Nadia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast, Shilpa and Tanya.
Thank you for being here, Nadia.
We are both happy to have you in this category of tuning in and healing. So to get started, Nadia, could you tell us a little bit about your journey on becoming an energy healer and coach?
Sure. So, when I was thinking about my whole journey, whilst just tuning into our conversation together, I was like, oh gosh, it's a long journey, and where to start and what point. But in essence, my journey of awakening, I would say, really kind of sped up 10 years ago. And that was after what for me was like a really kind of traumatic breakup of a 7-year relationship. And I really wanted to, of course, I was really hurt. And, I guess if you're into that, and the difference between your ego and your true self, I guess my ego was really bruised and really hurt. And that really made me want to understand more of like why I had behaved the way I had behaved, and in essence why I had abandoned myself in such a way, and allowing someone else to treat me the way I was treated, because it's always easy to blame someone else, but it's always you as a person who is allowing for whatever happens to you to happen. In this sort of case, of course, then I'm not generalizing, but so yeah, that made me really want to seek healing and go on to this more like awakening journey to understand myself, but also my mind, and also from an energetic point of view. And I remember back then, my first kind of point of call was to go and see someone who was doing energy work and what you call energy healing. Nowadays, like a lot of people will know what Reiki is, Reiki energy healing. So it was that sort of a kind of holistic modality that really helped me, I suppose, tune into my inner landscape more and understand myself more. But having said that, that was sort of, the relationship was a trigger, and it wasn't really the root cause of why I had allowed all that to happen to myself. And so when I reflect back, I really feel that it, like many things, if you approach it from, I suppose, also a more traditional psychotherapy point of view, everything starts in childhood. And everything, they say that until the age of 7, that's where your kind of subconscious mind is really like imprinted, and a lot of these things stick with you. And so I was just, having done a lot of work on myself over the years, I was reflecting again back to like what really happened. And I remember, in my childhood, that when I was very young, I never really felt a sense of belonging, and I never really wanted to be here. And I remember at a very young age, already starting to journal, and I would draw like, I know it's a bit morbid, but I would draw cemeteries. And I remember like wanting to die and not really knowing why. And then, through energy work and through doing all these like more kind of holistic, probably more alternative practices, I realized also that birth for anyone is traumatic, even if you don't realize it. And when I look back to my birth story, I was born very premature at 6 months. And there was a little boy born at the same time as me, and he didn't make it. And what they say, that girls are stronger, from a very young age, and probably, until like girls are generally, women are stronger generally in that respect. And so I was then in an incubator for about 4 or 5 months. And, they say that if when you don't get that like nurturing time with the mother straight away, it can contribute to certain, emotional, I was going to say issues, but not issues, but kind of emotional detachment. And I guess that is maybe one of the reasons, but, it was what it was. And a lot of people say that I have this quality of like being a survivor, and that I guess, resonates and echoes with like my story coming into this this lifetime. And so, yeah, all these aspects really led me to like wanting to understand this deep sense of never really feeling, never really belonging. And so, yeah, through different practices over the years, I've trained in energy healing and in shamanic practices and as a coach and in Kundalini yoga and breath work and you name it. And so all these have really helped me to really feel and get to know myself better. And I feel that that is, you know, I was going to say the work, but I don't really like using the word work because that is automatically associated to this thing, you know, this conditioning that we have from society. But I would say it for every human being or spiritual being, it's about understanding and getting to know ourselves better. I think if we can do that, we can, you know, accomplish a lot in life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. It's such a, like you say, story of resilience. You have that in you to push forward no matter what, from birth until now, you know. I almost wanted to say, yeah, girl power.
Yeah.
It's a really remarkable story that you have, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
I know that we usually ask about how you integrate mindfulness modalities in your everyday life and at work. For you, it's a little bit a given because, you know, you are very mindful. So apologies to the audience. My son is with us. And maybe you can explain to us, for those who don't know, what Reiki is, and maybe you go a bit deeper into what you do.
Sure. Yeah, so the offerings that I provide are really kind of modalities, and they all have in common to connect you back to your true essence and really awaken you to your true self, you know, and that will be beyond any of the illusions from the mind, practices that really help you quieten, you know, that monkey mind and that like tendency that a lot of us have to like overthink and to just have this kind of automatic default to going back to like past experiences to inform our present or future. And so Reiki or energy healing is, you know, it's nothing. People who don't know about this kind of modality tend to think it's a bit woo-woo and a bit out there, but actually it's just about rebalancing the inherent energy that we have in our system. And, you know, science proves it. For those that are a bit more rational and want that kind of reassurance, is science proves that everything is energy. You know, the computer, the chair that you're sitting on, the phone, like our bodies, everything is energy. We're all like molecules and atoms kind of dancing together. And so what Reiki does is, it's called energy healing. And I know like the word healing is thrown around quite a lot, you know, especially in these sort of circles. And actually, I don't like to think of it necessarily as healing, but more of remembrance. And really, like, it's about remembering and coming back to that inherent state of like our bodies and our energy. So what we do with energy healing, you know, it's about connecting. It's not like me or the person actually healing you. You connect back to whatever resonates to you, but like source or that higher power, even, you know, the sun, even the universe, God, whatever resonates with the person. It doesn't have to be dogmatic or anything like that, but you just connect to something bigger than yourself, according to your own understanding. And just with intention, actually, you know, everyone is a healer. Everyone can send good intentions and good energies to anyone else. So it's just connecting with that natural ability that we all have. And again, you know, it's like a muscle that can be trained, but it's just sending that energy that actually will then rebalance the energy that you inherently have in your body, and that, you know, sometimes it can be slightly blocked because of like something physical that you might have experienced, or it could be blocked because of like an emotional topic, or because, you know, like we were saying before, because your mind is like really active. So it really allows to detox from like a multitude of levels, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, and even spiritual.
And that's really lovely the way you mentioned knowing. It reminds me of a concept of increasing your awareness. Would you say that through the practice, you're increasing the awareness of your connection to the energy?
Exactly. And you know, energy healing, whether it's Reiki or other forms of energy work, it's you know, all about to what you make reference to in this section about tuning in. And it's all about tuning inwards into yourself. And it's exactly that. It's just helps you to gain more awareness and to really, because a lot of people are disconnected from their bodies, and you know, they don't necessarily feel what's going on even on a physical level. So it's really like bringing that awareness back and training that muscle to really be like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes now, I'm going to take some deep breaths, and I'm just going to feel at a very like basic level, but for some people might not be that basic or natural. Just feel, okay, what's going on in my body? What can I feel in my physical body? You know, what sensations are going on? And some people, you know, that I work with, they can't, at the beginning, is a challenge for them to actually sense. There's such a disconnection that they can't even feel like what's going on in their stomach or in their heart or in their, you know, legs even. So
Absolutely. I remember there was a period in my life when I had lost my mother, and there was like this deep tightness in my heart. And it wasn't until my son just simply placed his hand there, and I felt like, oh wow, I suddenly was aware that
mhm.
I was holding it on right there.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, and that's exactly that, right? It's and for you, I suppose that was a form of healing,
It
right,
was.
and of greater awareness.
Absolutely. Would you give us one more example, perhaps, just how Reiki can help, where you've seen the healing occur?
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, very often a session will start with a few moments at the beginning where the person will share what they want to work on or what their intention is for the session. And then we'll just go into the session. And it's very intuitive work because you can't plan for anything, you can't plan for what's going to happen. So, as a practitioner, then I would just feel into what is coming up in the other person. So we're all mirrors for each other, right? So some people will have different senses developed. So when it comes to what I do, I feel more. So it's almost like I can feel what's happening in the body for the other person. And then how it works is like, sometimes like you'll feel things and then you will work with intention and the energies to kind of just balance those energies and make them flow. It's all about, you know, having that flow in the whole system so that it works in harmony. And at the end of a session, like I remember an example of someone, and I had said to her, oh, you know, this is what's come up, and I'm not going to say exactly what, just to keep, you know, I guess the confidentiality, but it was almost like, okay, this has come up, and sometimes you receive things that, like, even from a personal point of view, you don't understand, but when you say them and you have the courage to say them, then immediately that person in that scenario was like, oh my God, like, how did you know? Or, you know, how did this come up? And then as soon as like you bring that awareness to maybe a memory or an emotion that someone hasn't felt for a while or hasn't necessarily, you know, put two and two together, then at that moment, so much like healing can start, because as to the point we were just discussing is you just bring that awareness of maybe something that was a blind spot for the person.
I find that so beautiful. And one of the things I really find tremendously empowering is the fact that you hold space for people with such empathy to the point where you can actually feel what they're feeling. That's a beautiful thing for somebody to be able to go to you and have you hold space for them and really feel comforted in that way. It's really amazing.
Yeah, no, it's truly like a gift to witness that and to hold space for people in that way. And so often people just need that time because they have such stressful and busy lives that they just need to give themselves that nourishing and that nurturing time of stillness and just reconnecting back to themselves, if anything.
That's right. So what insights could you give our audience? Just one more insight to share about tuning in and healing.
Mm-hmm. So I think that, a lot of people say that they can't meditate and that, they've tried meditation and they just can't like stop thinking. And so one key insight, is to, I guess, to just bring to light this misconception of what meditation really is, because meditation is not about stopping the mind. It's not about having a blank mind and just not thinking, because that's part of our chemistry as human beings. We'll never stop thinking, but it's about coming back again to that buzzword that we've been talking about, having that awareness to just always come back to that anchor point. So what if it's like the anchor point is the breath, coming back to your breath, or coming back to the sensation in your body, or even coming back to, some people will use, an object like mala beads or even a crystal, but just coming back to any sensation, any of the four senses. So often I say to people, well, if you can't meditate and stay there for like 20, 30 minutes or 1 hour, that's absolutely fine. Just take, even if it's 2 or 5 minutes out of your day, maybe in the morning, and just sit still, sit with yourself without any distractions, put your phone away and just start to breathe, and get aware of your breath. There's no need to even like breathe in a certain way, but just notice your inhale and your exhale through your nose. Notice where in that moment where you're breathing into your body, and just that is enough. And then slowly, you can come to what we were talking about before, is to like an emotion. Is there a specific emotion that you're feeling right now? And without getting into that label and to the story of the whys and the hows, just one name. Okay, maybe I'm feeling sadness now, or frustration, and then sensing into your body where, this sensation is. So more and more, I think it's just about simplifying everything. And once you and not getting caught up in the emotion. So yes, you have the awareness that you're sad, and then coming back to that knowing is that the sadness is not you. You're not the thoughts in your mind, you're not your emotions. So what is behind that sadness? And behind that sadness is just that pure presence. So coming back to that presence, and whether it's just staying with observing your breath, and every time an emotion or a thought or even a distraction comes in, just coming back to that presence, coming back to your breath. And, I don't know if that sounds simple, but if it, yeah.
I was going to say, no, that's brilliant. I mean, we are practitioners, Tanya and I, we do this every day. However, on a micro, moment by moment basis, we are constantly having to remind ourselves, becoming aware of the breath. So this practice of meditation or practice of breath work, it is a practice, and all of us are not experts. We're not experts, but we are constantly here to give space to each other, to remind each other that these insights are here to help us heal and tune in.
Yeah. So we thank you for that answer as well, because we know that a lot of listeners can be hard on themselves, and just hearing it from you saying, no, it's okay, your mind will wander, just come back to what it is that you were focusing on. It's a powerful message. Yeah.
Like the fact that you mentioned the mala and other things to ground you based on the senses, because each of us resonate with probably different senses, like incense or mala.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, you named it, incense, and like smudging is a great other tool to use. And, whatever works for you, but it's really like, even for me, what's been a game changer, and it just depends on your affinities and what you like in terms of your senses. But for me, like using ceremonial grade cacao in the morning and replacing that, with my morning coffee, and just taking, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes of like, very mindfully and intentionally sipping my drink. And even that's a meditation in itself, because we tend to just do things so quickly. We wake up, the first thing we do is we grab our phone, we'll check messages, emails, and then all of a sudden you're starting your day on the wrong foot, right? So, can you just leave your phone alone for just 10 minutes, and instead of rushing to your coffee, because that's maybe a habit, can you bring in something that will be more intentional? So like I said, for me, it's been really a massive, like I've seen massive shifts to just bring in more intentionality and mindfulness to starting the day. And with meditation, and even like using cacao as a superfood that has loads of benefits. But that combination is another kind of insight and tool that I feel has been really helpful for my own journey and those of the people I work with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just bringing that attention back to the senses, slowing down. And for our listeners, Tanya and I would like to just mention that we intend to have a cacao ceremony with you. We'll record for listeners.
That's right. For those of you who want to do this kind of ceremony, I urge you to start looking for your cacao in advance, because it's not always so easy. I figured I would be able to find the ceremonial cacao pretty fast. But Nadia will be able to very shortly be able to provide cacao, because it will be in your business as well, right? To be able to sell that.
Yes, exactly. So I'm super excited, because it's been 4 years in the making, where that I had the intention to birth my own like ceremonial grade cacao, because it's helped me so much. So probably in the next 2-3 weeks it will be officially launched, and it's called Cosmic Cacao, so it's ceremonial grade cacao. And I mean, we could talk about this for another hour, so I appreciate the time, but just to give a quick snapshot, like cacao is a superfood, and for those who are into health and wellness and well-being, it's also an adaptogen. So it has so many like benefits, from like health to like mental health and emotional and spiritual, because what it does is it's a psychoactive adaptogen, and so that means that it's a plant that very slightly and very gently alters like the brain function, and helps counteract the effects of stress, and really bringing more balance to like the whole system. And like the like phenomenal thing that it does is that it triggers neurotransmitters that are already present in your brain. So like serotonin, that enhances the mood, or the bliss molecule, or the love like chemical hormone. So it can really like enhance all these feelings of like happiness and pleasure and bliss with the dopamine and the joy. And what it is like referred to is a heart opener, and the reason for that is that it just increases the blood flow, and it just dilutes or dilates your arteries, so there's more blood going to your heart. So that's why a lot of people tend to feel, this sudden like energy and focus, and so it helps with all sort of things like creativity, happiness, mood enhancing. And so that's why you just have to be a little bit mindful. There are some indications. If people are on antidepressants or have heart conditions, they should always ask the practitioner what to do. But yeah, it's just like, for me, it's been like a miracle medicine.
Oh, yeah, we cannot wait to be able to share that experience with you. And it's right on time for the holidays, right, Shilpa?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that'll be something that our listeners have something to look forward to. And what a wonderful session on tuning in and healing. You covered so many lovely insights.
Yes, and we thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for your time, Nadia.
Thank you so much, Tanya and Shilpa. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description, and please subscribe, follow, and share. And continue to be omnipresent.